So I would say resiliency when it comes to transition is similar to a financial plan. In other words, it's in segments. So it's going to be different for everybody. Everybody probably sees resiliency a little different in my eyes.
Good evening, Sasebo. Good evening, Navy Region Japan. This is Chaplain Lawrence with another episode of Taps with Chaps, episode 11. We're continuing our discussion about resiliency, and this week we're focusing a little bit on resiliency around transitions. Transitions can be a really important and tough time for us in the Navy, both as sailors and family members. And today we have a special guest who's going to focus our discussion around that topic. We have with us Mr. Phil Fraser, who works with our Fleet and Family Center here in Sasebo. So welcome to the show, Phil. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background?
Well, first I'd like to say thank you for the invite, get a chance to share some ideas, so hopefully I can help some sailors down the road. A little bit about myself, 26 years in the Navy, and resiliency is kind of how I define my naval career. I joined the Navy in 1978 when the base pay was $428 a month. My first 4 years in the Navy were kind of rough, and I got out after 4 years. And I never envisioned coming back in, but look at me now. I'm really in the Navy, just not wearing a uniform. So I was out 5 years in the civilian world and came back in 1987 and did 20 more. Retired in 07. Been working at the Fleet and Family Center now for 13 years, doing the transition program. So I would say resiliency when it comes to transition is similar to a financial plan. In other words, it's in segments. So it's going to be different for everybody. Everybody probably sees resiliency a little different in my eyes. Everybody's different in the fact that what makes us happy and our dreams are different. We're different in our ideals, but similar in the idea that it's all about the fleet. The first word in the Fleet and Family Support Center is fleet. We're here for one reason, that's to take care of the sailors. Bringing it back to the transition, you need to have a plan. So I would like to start to see sailors not using TAP after they've made the decision to get out, but before you make that decision. Because I believe doing it twice, once separate, once retire, having finances together is a key point because it buys you time to reset your network. Things won't always go smoothly when you first get out. So you got to have a plan. So I would say finance, I would say mental health and how you see things, physical fitness, being in shape, it helps reduce stress. And then, what do you do for fun? Yeah. You got to have some fun for that life-work balance. How's that?
That's awesome. What are some of maybe the specific resiliency issues that you've seen or heard with sailors? Because I'm sure you've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of sailors as they go through the TAPS class and the transition program. What do you hear and see from them frequently?
I see a couple of things that are kind of interesting. One is a lot of these sailors are making decisions on emotions. And I get it. I was young. Part of the reason I got out was on emotion. But if you can somehow put that into check and control your emotions, I believe you're going to make a smarter, more informed decision. The other is, what are you doing with your finances while you're in the military? You got a lot of finance support while you're in. You get paid twice a month. You got meals, you get money for food, get money for housing. When I was in the Navy, we weren't on a ship. We were on the ship. Didn't have barracks. So there we go. So sailors come to TAP, and I know MC2 over there knows what I'm talking about. They will have a big screen TV, about a 70-inch TV, but they don't have a computer. You've got to be able to compete in the world. So some of your financial choices while you're on active duty impact you after you get out.
And that's not a bad thing to start working on that now rather than waiting until I'm getting out in 2 months. What am I doing with my money? Well, think about that today. We had Norm Okada on the show a couple months ago, one of your coworkers, and he said, the best financial plan was one that was done yesterday, but the second one is one that's done today. So I think that's sound advice.
Absolutely. Another thing I see is I think some sailors drink too much to relieve stress. I like to climb mountains. I think if you get outside and embrace what we have here in Japan, that will alleviate a lot of problems. I use the mountains as wow, down here by sea level, my problems seem real big, but as I fight through the mountain and get to the top, I look down and I say, you know what, maybe those problems aren't so big after all. And that's one of the ways that we do it over at FFC. We have hikes that assist an outside of the box way to deal with stress and having some fun. You gotta have some fun.
Yeah. Have you seen or heard anything in the past, what I would say, 6 months or so as we've entered the realm of COVID-19 and how that has had such a tremendous impact on the world, our nation, our Navy, families, everything? What are some of the ways that you've seen that impact people as they're transitioning?
Well, the resources have been tightened up because now you can't get that immediate feedback and tap, that direct feedback. So it's a virtual world now, so everybody's adjusting, so stress levels are up. Our bubble has shrunk, you can't get out as much, so that impacts folks' mental health. So you've got to have a plan, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm going back to finances and physical fitness. Those two things will help you as you transition out.
What, maybe, do you have any stories that you can tell of success? Because one of the things I'm really big on is success stories, just for people to see and hear, like, there are people out there that have the same challenges as me, but they got through it. They made it, and they succeeded. Do you have any success stories to share?
I have one in 1996. I just had made first class, and I was assigned the building manager of PSD Coronado, and no one really took it seriously to the point where they really made some improvements. So I don't know, I was a new first class and wanted to make an impression, so I came up with an idea of renovating the whole building inside and out. And it became infectious. And we redid the inside, new carpet, everybody was painting, the OIC, the Master Chief, everybody was painting. And then we went outside and repainted the entire outside and cleaned up the roof, patched up the roof. Long story short, I took a collateral duty that was somewhat dormant and made it into something, and that wound up making me Sailor of the Year that year, which led to Anchors 5 years later.
Yeah, that initiative, taking on a project, whether it's for yourself as a person or for your command or for your family, there's always something you can do, and even in the face of a lot of limitations that we have in COVID-19, there's always something we can do, always something that we can engage in. And so that's excellent. That's a great success story. You talked a little bit about resources. Fleet and Family obviously is a huge resource, but what are some of the resources that are out there? If a sailor family member goes, hey, I just don't know where to go, where can they start?
Well, you've got Military One Source, we have the VA, the vet centers, other family centers. It's not just the Navy, Army, Air Force, Marines, they all have family centers. And then the American job centers out there across the country are a great resource, and it's free. Help with resume writing, help with interview skills, help with resource. But the number one thing I think when it comes to looking for jobs and folks that want to transition out of the Navy is your network. What's your network? Who's in your network? Professional, personal? Have you started writing your resume yet? I mean, to me, a resume is nothing more than a glorified brag sheet. It gets you into the door to sit down and have that interview. The interview is what gets you hired. Unless you want to flip, burgers at McDonald's, then you can probably just fill out an application and get your $7 an hour. But for our professionals that are getting out, that want to enter the workforce with a career, it's the interview that gets you the work. And the resources are across the board, online and in person. Although COVID has restricted that, so there we go. We're back to that extra pressure cooker we're all in, because we're all in it. We're all under the pressure cooker right now.
I've seen online a lot in Facebook groups and stuff like that where a lot of veterans have networked and connected to each other, and so frequently you'll see somebody post like, hey, here's my education, here are my job skills, does anybody know of a place that's hiring for that? And real quick, someone will hook them up. Yeah, hey, this company, you should call this person. This, or vice versa. Employers will go, hey, I'm looking to hire, some veterans that have gotten out. Here are the skills that I'm looking for, and that those kinds of networks can really, get you in places that maybe you didn't even know existed before. So that's really a key piece. Any final thoughts? Anything that you want to share with us on resiliency?
Yes, for the transition sailors, LinkedIn is also an important avenue to take. Make sure you got a strong LinkedIn account, because what you just talked about, that can lead into jobs. I don't know, just be strong, be smart, make smart decisions. Instead of the weekend of hitting the bottle, hit the road, climb a mountain, do something. Education, TA. I don't think sailors take enough advantage of TA. Yeah. It's free money. You got to get an honorable discharge when you get out the Navy to use your educational benefits. If you don't get an honorable, you're in jeopardy of losing those educational benefits. You've got to make smart decisions. You have to. That money is there for you, but they're not going to give it to you if you make a poor decision. So please make the right decision.
That's awesome, and that goes for all of us. Make good decisions and good things happen. And
that's right. You make your own breaks.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Phil, for sharing your wisdom and your experience with us, and thank you to all the sailors, the Marines, the families of 7th Fleet for your continued resilience, and really for all that you do for our fleet and our nation. So this is Chaplain Lawrence signing off this week. We'll see you for next week's episode. Take care.